Hello everyone, it's Dark7. Today we are playing what we used to call RAKDOS Waste Not, but now we are only playing one Waste Not in a deck. Okay, so the replacement for Waste Not is Tinybones in this deck, card from Foundations that says whenever opponent discards a card, you exile a card from their graveyard with a stash counter on it, and during your turn you can play cards exiled with it. That's really good. It can create a lot of card advantage. You can play your opponent's cards, you can play lands, that's also pretty important. You can play lands, you can play spells. So Tinybones, if it stays on the field and you play one of your discard spells or Burning Inquiry, you get to steal your opponent's cards and play them. So that's really cool. Okay, so that's Thoughtseize plus Dreams of Steel and Oil plus Burning Inquiry. That is 11 ways to steal something with Tinybones. I think that's good. That's very good. Okay, so but the thing that made this deck good for me at the moment is that Dreams of Steel and Oil is such a good card at the moment. So this card can discard artifact or creature from hand, but it also exiles card from the graveyard. So this is very relevant right now. You can use it to exile Phlage from the yard. Let's say they have Phlage in the yard, you have Dreams in the hand, you play Dreams, discard their ring from their hand and exile Phlage from the yard. That's like spectacular. That's like super strong, and it can happen if they play like turn 3 Phlage. It's like realistic that something like that can happen. Okay, so also like you can exile something like Lotus Bloom. The Charbelcher is also very popular right now. Also, if they don't have anything in the yard and you play Dreams of Steel and Oil and the opponent has artifact in hand and you discarded that artifact or creature, will immediately get exiled. That's also pretty cool. Okay, so we have standard 1-mana creature in RAKDOS, Dragon Raid Channeler and Nethergoyf, very aggressive. So we play cards like Starfire, Mishra Bubble, Burning Inquiry, Thoughtseize, Fatal Push to make these guys really big early, especially Nethergoyf, and start attacking and also getting double combat with Fear of Missing Out. Orcish Bowmasters is super cool with Burning Inquiry in the deck. It's also great against 1 toughness creatures and 1 ring decks. 3 Tinybones because it's a legendary, and I decided that I like first Waste Not in this deck better than 4th Fear of Missing Out or 4th Tinybones, but something like Kroxa would also be pretty cool in this deck. But we are already playing 18 creatures, so I wanted another non-creature spell, and that's why I decided to go with one of Waste Not. In the sideboard we got 2 additional discard spells, and Venturus is good. Then Dreams of Steel and Oil is mostly good too, because let's say you're playing against Eldrazi, so they have a bunch of artifacts and they have a bunch of creatures and they have also reasonable number of non-creature spells. I think both the Dreams of Steel and Oil and Duress will be good against them. It's similar like against Storm, I think, but in some matchups you will want to replace Dreams with Duress, but in most matchups where you want Duress, I think Dreams of Steel and Oil is pretty good as well. Okay, so that is it. On the sideboard we got more graveyard hate, more energy hate, and more land hate, and couple removals plus Giganta. So that is it. Let us check out the gameplay. Okay, so match 1. Let's see what happened here. Okay, I was playing a second. I kept a decent hand. I have 2 lands. I have discard spell. I have a burn spell. I have fear. This hand is pretty good, pretty solid. Okay, so I start off with Nethergoyf. Nethergoyf is already a 3/4. Unfortunately, my opponent has a Fatal Push on the top. Okay, so but I have more creatures, so I'm okay with that. Opponent decides to play Frog instead of playing their Fatal Push. This means I can try to be really aggressive, so I go for a mountain and play Tarfire and put my opponent down to 8 life. They have a Grizzleband in the graveyard now, so they go for Gorios and go down on 8 life, playing the land. Okay, so I go for attack with Nethergoyf. Opponent plays Fatal Push, and I make a mistake here, so I go for Fear of Missing Out, and accidentally I didn't play a land in the second main phase, and that almost was like very costly. I was not able to kill this Emperor in response to its ability, so now I was not able to attack. But it ended up not mattering because opponent plays Totsis next turn and I have kill in response, so I go for Bowmasters plus Starfire, so that is the game. Okay, so that was game 1. Let us check game 2 and also sideboarding plan against Gorios. Okay, so this Gorios list is a list from my channel a week ago. You can check that out on my YouTube. And it's a list playing Stitcher Supplier and 4 Grizzlebrands plus Agatha Sal Cauldron and of course New Kiora. New Kiora is amazing with both Gorios and like as enabler in Gorios deck. Okay, so I go for a channeler here and play Totsis. In response, opponent kills Fatal Push and I put a Goyf in the yard, discard their Gorios Vengeance, so they're left with Bogart Roller in their hand. They will play it next turn, but I think I'm okay with that. They were exiling my yard, but I get a chance to refill it again. Okay, so opponent plays Bogart Roller, is also 3-1 attacker. Okay, so I go for a Blood Crypt, I go for Fatal Push, kill their creature and go for Burning Inquiry. Growing my Goyf back to 5-6, immediately turn after they exile my entire yard, so that's pretty cool. Okay, I decided to block their Stitcher Supplier there. And I decided to I go for a duress, and I don't want to attack here. My opponent is too high on life, and I want to be able to block this Kiora, but unfortunately with 0 cards in hand, opponent top decks Fatal Push, and now I'm not able to deal with this token, 8/8 token, so Kiora gets this match. I was not able to get out of it, okay? But let's check out game 3. Same sideboarding plan as in game 2, so let us see here. I just put in Nihil Spell Bombs, remove couple of Mishra Bubbles, removed 1 Channeler, couple Tarfires, and that's it. And a couple of Burning Inquiries as well. Okay, so I go for a Totsis here, discard Agatha Soul Cauldron, play Nihil Spell Bomb and pass the turn. Yeah, I don't have other ways to deal with Agatha Soul Cauldron, that's why I really like exiling into here. Okay, so I go for a Nethergoyf and I go for a Tinybones. I have my Nihil Spellbomb here. Opponent exiles my yard. Unfortunately, my Goyf is 0-1 here. So I go for a Goyf. I play my second Nihil Spellbomb, and I have couple of Goyfs. They are in this situation 0-1 creatures. Okay, so I go crack my Nihil Spellbomb. In response, my opponent puts Bowmaster on the field, I decide to draw a card anyway. Opponent gets another ping with Bowmasters, makes their 2/2 army token. And I'm trying to get something here, like a discard spell to start, for the Tinybones to start working. Opponent's Emperor is used at the moment. Okay, so I really needed something at this point, so I decided to crack the Spell Bomb and go for Molten Collapse, grow my Goyf, and I can now continue attacking. Opponent jumps with a Supplier, grows their graveyard, and passes the turn again. Okay, so now they go for, unfortunately, Boggart Troller again. Again, Boggart Troller, exiling my yard, but I'm trying to refill again. So I go for Channeler, I go for Molten Collapse, and yeah, my Goyf is 3-4 again, so that's decent. My opponent is down on 10. I don't have Delirium at the moment, and opponent plays the Psychic Frog. Okay, so I go for Fear and I find Duress. I keep Burning Inquiry on top. I think that's good. Okay, so opponent discards card on Frog, give it flying and goes for attack, draws a card, plays Nihil Spell Bomb, so another way to discard, to exile my yard here. That was the reason why I had Burning Inquiry in hand, but I wanted them to use the Nihil Spell Bomb before my Inquiry. Okay, so I go Inquiry, they go Shoot the Sheriff, and I do this 3 Tinybones abilities. I find Unearth, I find Stitcher Supplier, so I decided to unearth Channeler, and this makes me able to next turn to play Stitcher Supplier. Stitcher Supplier is a blocker, it's also can be Delirium Enabler here, and if I get Delirium, I have lethal damage with Fear and Channeler. Okay, opponent plays Stitcher Supplier. I actually tapped wrong here, should have played this with Arena of Glory. So I play the Nihil Spell Bomb to exile their yard and draw a card. But unfortunately only to draw a land, nothing usable. Okay, so I play my land, pass the turn, hoping to just find that Delirium maybe for the next turn. Okay, so opponent goes here with both Stitcher Supplier and Frog. I decide to block the Supplier and let them draw a card with Frog again. Okay, so here I draw Orcish Bowmaster in situation where they have double Frog, and I really hate this so much. So in this situation with Arena or with fear of missing out attacking, and I really can't, I'm not able with, because of the new rule, I'm not able to choose to order blockers to say like this I'm going to deal damage to this creature first and I'm going to do remaining damage to this creature. No, it's just automatic. I can't order the blockers, and it's just so super annoying since the implementation of the new rule. Yeah, it just feels pretty bad for me to not be able to order the blockers to say I'm going to deal damage to this creature first and then I'm going to deal the rest of the damage to this creature. That's just doesn't make any sense to me, but okay. So opponent has a double Frog, and I have Dragon Ray Channeler as a blocker here. If opponent wants to kill my Channeler, they have to discard their only card, and which makes it safe for me to play the Orcish Bowmaster. Okay, so I play the Bowmaster. I go for phase damage here. So I have lethal here unless my opponent finds direct solution to Bowmaster. But yeah, they find Kiora. Kiora is not helpful here because of the Bowmaster. It's just doesn't do anything, so it's game over and I find a win against Gorios in match 1. So let's check out match 2. Okay, so in the match 2, played first, keep a pretty decent hand. No discard spell, but I have Bubble, I have Channeler, I can dig for something I want. I find Burning Inquiry, decide to graveyard it, and I go for a bubble crack, and I'm very close to delirium already, so I can if opponent plays creature, I can push it and have delirium immediately. But opponent doesn't do that, so I go for a Nethergoyf. I go for double Nethergoyf this turn, and next turn I can grow Goyf with dreams and fatal push, and just yeah, make it do delirium and make Goyfs even bigger. But I decide to go for Tinybones and dreams, so discard the card from their hand. Unfortunately, they had double glaring flash rakers here, so but yeah, it's better for them if it's better for me if they have just a single flash raker than two, of course. So this turn opponent goes for ballista, I go for a fatal push, and with that I have instant in the yard, and my goyfs are 5-6, which makes this exactly lethal attack for 11 on turn 4. That was pretty cool. Okay, so let's check out game 2. Game 2 was really complicated, and I thought I was going to lose this one. Okay, let's check out the sideboarding plan. Okay, so one Vase Nut goes out, one Tinybones goes out, and one Burning Inquiry. Basically, in this situation, I'm bringing in just a single Pyroclasm and couple of Molten Collapses. Molten Collapses are very good in this matchup, so because they play Urza Saga and Blade of the Bloodchief, which means with Molten Collapse will often kill two permanents, like mostly kill like Blade plus creature. That is really insane. Okay, so opponent goes for Kozilek's command here instead of doing the construct token. They go for Kozilek's command, exiling my fear of missing out. And yeah, now they go Glaring Flash Raker. I know they have Brute Scale in their hands, so I'm waiting for them to play the Brute Scale, try to equip it, and then in response I can kill the Brute Scale. Okay, so opponent dealing damage with Flash Raker goes for equip, and then I go for Fatal Push, of course. This is pretty good. For me, I can go survey land, look at the top of my library, play Molten Collapse, kill both Flash Raker and Blade of the Bloodchief. This is amazing for me. Okay, so opponent plays Urza Saga. I'm still holding my Fatal Push, but definitely Urza Saga is a problem in a situation like this. Okay, so I go for a Thoughtseize, exile, discard Brute Scale from their hand, play land, which means I'm holding Fatal Push entire time. If they try to go for combo or something else, unfortunately they find the best card from them in this situation, and that is the One Ring. The Urza Saga was already a big advantage, but definitely like the One Ring was a best draw for them there. Okay, so opponent plays the One Ring and starts drawing cards. I have Giganta. They also have Urza Saga, and at this point it seems like it's pretty much a game over for me. Opponent plays Blade of the Bloodchief. They have the Brute Scale. They can yeah, I wanted to kill this Brute Scale in response, but I had yield on the Blade of the Bloodchief, so they automatically equipped before I was able to response. So I go for a Fatal Push in response, but now my opponent is able to make infinite mana. They didn't really need infinite, they needed like 25 mana for Ballista or something like that, but yeah, they decided to make a lot more than that. Okay, so opponent does all this, but they didn't have the combo. they didn't have the combo. They do a bunch of these brute scale abilities. Brute scale is going to die. They have a construct token. They can make an Eldrazi spawn token as well. Yeah, but this much mana was yeah, like unnecessary at this point, because Walking Ballista is just like 22 mana for a kill, but maybe it makes sense, like if they have like a Kozilek's command or something like that, so I can't know what opponent has at this point. So they're going for infinite mana. Opponent's going for infinite mana, and if you have a card like Kozilek command, you can just dig your entire deck to find the piece you need and immediately win with Walking Ballista. So Kozilek's command is like super good in a situation like this, but opponent doesn't have that. They actually have so here I have Burning Inquiry. I go for Inquiry. I go for Channeler with haste, and I also play Nethergoyf. Nethergoyf is a 4/5 here, so unfortunately I was not able to attack with it. Opponent loses 3 more with the One Ring, and I still can't attack into their 5/5 construct token, so I just play my Nethergoyf and opponent is down on 1 life, which means they have to find another One Ring, or they have to do something about this, because they're going to die here. So opponent goes for Kozilek command here. That is pretty sweet play, and they go for Walking Ballista. Now equip Blade on the Ballista, clear blockers, and then they can attack with construct token for lethal. And my opponent, I think they miscounted, or I'm not sure what happened, but they should have equipped a blade on the construct token to give it another counter, and this way construct token was a 10/10, which wasn't enough for to kill me this turn. So opponent didn't have a kill, and they will die next turn from the One Ring. So I get the victory immediately here in this weird game too. Okay, so that is it. Let's check out match 3. Okay, so in the match 3, playing first, I have to mulligan this one. And yeah, sometimes when you're playing Arena of Glory with just 19 cards in a hand, there are times where Arena of Glory will be a bit awkward, but it's such a good card for this deck that it's just so hard not to play it. But we have a lot of fetches. There is only just this single basic swamp, so it's not that bad actually. Okay, so I start attacking here. My opponent obviously playing mono blue Tameshi Charbelcher. I start attacking, so opponent is on 18 here, and yeah. So I find a land here, which means I can go Orcish Bowmasters plus Burning Inquiry, but opponent has Disrupting Shoal, so I was able to go for Channeler at least and attack with Nethergoyf. So now I go for Tarfire, grow my Nethergoyf to 6/7. Attack them for 9, put them down on 3. That is important because most of their lands require a 3 life to play, so they can't play untapped land this turn. That can be important. Opponent has a Tameshi. I saw their hand, I saw their have Tameshi. I played I played Burning Inquiry, discarded Tameshi from their hand, but they had another one. And they had just enough mana to make 7 mana, play Charbelcher from the hand. I discarded one Charbelcher, they found a second one, and they found enough mana to kill me this same turn. A great turn for opponent. So let's check out game 2. I thought like I for sure am winning that one, but opponent found a way. Okay, so let's see the sideboarding plan against Mono Blue Belcher. So one waste not goes out, couple of Tarfires go out, and Mishra Bubble. So Nihil Spell Bombs are decent in this matchup. They can win against Tameshi when they have Tameshi hands. Okay, opponent finds Disrupting Shoal, so I go for Fatal Push, kill their trainer, go for Totsis. I have another Totsis in my hand, so I look at the top of my library and I discard their Charbelcher. I can play anything I discard with Tinybones, don't forget that. That also means lands. I can also play lands. That can be pretty important. Opponent suspends Lotus Bloom, plays Phlage Archaeologist, and yeah, okay, so I start with push, try to kill Phlage, then go for Totsis, opponent finds removal, let's say removal for one of my creatures. I was saving Burning Inquiry, and yeah, that was a good thing because now I find Orcish Bowmaster and I trigger Tinybones 3 times, I trigger a Bowmaster 3 times, so that's pretty good. My opponent is down on 7, I'm very close to lethal here, so I go for a Dreams here. I go for a Dreams. I see they only have Teachings in their hand as the last card. So make them discard a card, attack for 4, opponent jumps with Hydroelectric Specimen and passes the turn. So this time I used Tinybones' ability to discard a card, and I also played 2 of their lands with Tinybones' ability. Okay, so I play my second Tinybones, legendary rule, I sack the one on the field, and I played their teachings, finding Tarfire, and incredible, it was really incredible that my opponent was able to actually combo off by finding Tameshi from the top of their library, but yeah, it wasn't enough, and opponent in this situation, I had Bowmasters plus Starfire, both of my spells and the game. They had Spell Snare for 1, but they can deal with 2 attackers here. So that is the game. And that is game 2. So let's check out game 3. I had to win 2 remaining games to get this match. Okay, so I had to mulligan that hand, and I decide to keep this 6-card hand. It can seem a bit weird, but I think it's better than the starting hand. I have a creature and I have a Totsis. I also have a creature which can discard a card from my hand and try to draw something more usable. So that seemed like okay start. Start with Dreams, discard their trainer, which finds them something that's something good. Okay, I have Totsis, I have Nihil Spellbomb for this next turn, and I can also save the land to go for the Surveil. So at this point, my opponent is on 2 cards in hand, and they only have double Unable to Scream in their hand. Okay, so here they go for Tameshi. I do the surveilling thing, keep the Tinybones on top, play the Tinybones, play the Fatal Push, and play the Nihil Spell Bomb, pass the turn. Of course, my opponent has Unable to Scream, but yeah, I just have to make them use that. I go for another Tinybones. And yeah, keeping the Nihil spell bomb, opponent uses their second unable to scream, so now they are on 0 cards in hand. That is good for me. Opponent plays Phlage and finds Veer of Invention. That was a great top deck for them, especially since they have Lotus Bloom on top, resolving next turn, which means they can go for Veer next turn and find it puts Charbelcher on the field. So that is a problem for me. Okay, so I go for Giganta. I go for Giganta with haste. Opponent blocks my Phlage, and yeah, they have another. Sorry, they have another turn for this. Not sure what happened to their Veer. Did I discard the Veer? Or what happened to Veer? I'm not sure. Maybe I discarded with Inquiry. I think that's what happened. Okay, so yeah, but never mind. I attack next turn, putting my opponent down on 4, and they don't find a solution on time for my creatures. So that is the match against Charbelcher. Okay, so let's check out match number 4. By the way, this was Trophy League, and it's pretty cool that I was able to brew this deck in this weird meta. I was able to brew this deck and just trophy with it immediately in the first league I ever played with it. Okay, so I really wanted to use a Bowmaster to kill these guys and not to use Fatal Push on them. So that was the, yeah, I went for Nethergoyf. I also wanted to Thoughtseize, so I decided that my best play here is Thoughtseize plus Nethergoyf as a blocker. Next turn I go for the Bowmasters and go play the Nethergoyf as another attacker here, continue attacking with my Nethergoyfs. So I go for Fatal Push now, killing the second speaker, playing the Tinybones, putting my opponent down on 11. Okay, so opponent goes for Field of Ruin. I go for Orcish Bowmaster, putting my opponent down on 10, and that is exactly 10 damage I have on the field for lethal this turn. A very quick win, dealt with a lot of cards opponent played. I had a discard, I had removal, I had a good pressure, so yeah, that was it. Let's check out game 2. My opponent played the mono-white martyr deck. Okay, so I keep, let's check out the sideboarding plan against them. I was thinking about using Pyroclasms, but decided not to use them in the end. I went for Molten Collapses, sideboarding out 1 Fear of Missing Out, 1 Waste Not. That's it. That is the entire sideboard here. So I go for a Thoughtseize here, discard their Ranger Captain, and go for a Survey Land, put Dreams in the yard. Okay, so I have double Inquiry at this point. I'm hoping to find like Bowmasters or a creature to go with Burning Inquiry. Didn't find it, but I was able to make my hand or my draws at least a bit better. So I go for a Thoughtseize, a discard Day of Judgment. I leave them with Walking Ballista in hand. I have a removal for Ballista. I'm okay with that. So instead of removal, I decided to haste my Giganta there and let opponent attack me with Ballista here. So I'm hoping opponent doesn't have Abiding Grace here to lock me with Kami. I don't have much to deal with Kami lock. So I go for attack here. Opponent uses Kami and I go Nethergoyf plus Burning Inquiry, finding another Nethergoyf. And yeah, here we can see here opponent finding the Squadron Hawk which finds 2 more Squadron Hawks to completely block me for the next turn. At any point, if they find Abiding Grace, they probably just win this. I don't think I can win with Abiding Grace and Kami combo. Okay, so I go for 3 damage, put them down on 12. Opponent needs a miracle to survive next turn, so they don't find it and they concede. That is the quick 2 wins against a mono white martyr. So let's now check out the last match of this league for the trophy. Okay, so I was playing first. I draw a pretty decent hand, but with 2 surveillance, I decided to keep it anyway. I still can go for like turn 1 Nethergoyf bubble, turn 2 I have Starfire. If I don't kill a creature, I can go face and like my Nethergoyf will be pretty big. Okay, so I see mountain on opponent's top, so I immediately like know that is they're playing Storm. Yeah, it's most likely they're playing Storm at this point, so I go for a Starfire face and Nethergoyf attack. Try to be as quick as possible if they need more turns to do something. Okay, so I go for the most damage I can do is like Bowmasters face, Burning Inquiry, 3 damage face, try to grow my Goyf as big as possible, put them down on a 9, and then attack with Goyf, put them down on 3 life. 3 life is pretty low, especially if they need to fetch for a land or play Ral. Okay, so opponent plays 1 mana Morphose here. They go for bunch of they play bunch of spells, try to find solution here, but they were not able to get it, and yeah, they were not able to like play any more mana Morphoses, or Ral is also can really kill them if they triggered its ability. And they didn't have they find a bunch of lands from the top, so that is a win in game, unexpected win in game 1 against a Storm. Okay, so let's check out game 2. Of course, in this matchup we have Duras. So I decided to remove all Tinybones and all Waste Not. I think they're too slow to against Storm. So I remove all these cards, bring in bring in Duras, and like Graveyard Hate is good, discard is good, Damping Spheres are good, stuff like that. Okay, so I go for a double Totsis here, discard 2 cards from my opponent's hand. And yeah, okay, so opponent hand is medium at the moment. They have a Prismatic Ending, Past in Flames, and Desperate Ritual. Because of the Prismatic Ending, I played Bowmasters end of turn, so I go for Burning Inquiry. That is 3 damage to face, growing my Orc army token to 4/4, and I find another Inquiry. Another Inquiry means 3 more damage, and if I didn't go for Basic Swamp, on turn 1 there, or if it was like a third Blood Crypt, I would have lethal here with Starfire at this point. This way opponent was able to try to go off. They play double Desperate Ritual, and yeah, they were able to like storm off, but eventually they ran out of stuff. Because again they were on 1 life, they were not able to use stuff like Mana Morphose to gain mana, and that makes it pretty hard for them to do much. And here they find a Wish, and but yeah, being unable to use Mana Morphose was a big problem for them. because of the Bowmasters, of course, and yeah, that won me the game there and the match. Okay, so that is it. That is the entire league against with this new RAKDOS Waste Not brew. Pretty happy with how Tinybones feels as a replacement for Waste Not. I like it more because it impacts the board immediately. Opponent has to kill it, they have to use removal on it. If they don't, you will just use Totsies on you and steal you card and then play it, and it can be a really big advantage. Also being able to play opponent's lands when you do the inquiry thing, it's also pretty strong. Okay, so a lot of good ways, a lot of good synergy with Tinybones in this RAKDOS build, and I like it. It kind of RAKDOS has multiple ways to build it, and obviously the shell with Channeler, Nethergoyfs plus Bauble, discard and removal. It's strong, and you need to find different type of synergies to fill out the remaining places. And in this case, the remaining places are like Burning Inquiry plus Bowmaster, Tinybones, Waste Not. I think that's pretty solid. And also Tinybones is a new card which is better than slightly outdated Waste Not. Waste Not was once felt very playable card in modern, but lately when I tried it, it felt much weaker than before. So I was excited to try out Tinybones, and I'm much happier with Tinybones in its slot. It's a creature, it attacks, it has ability for 4 mana, which sometimes ends up being usable. Also, it's great with Totsies and Burning Inquiry. You can, if they don't kill this creature, it will start doing advantage eventually and take over the game. So they have to deal with it, and this means they are not dealing with your other creatures, and that's always a good thing. Okay, so that is it for today. Cool trophy for this build in first try. After this league I played another one, and I also did good. I had 4 wins in that league as well, and it's overall I'm very happy with this deck, and it performed well against this weird meta at the moment, full of combo decks and energy. And we have a bunch of discard spells. Dreams are great against Phlage, so it's like a main deck way to deal with Phlage, which is, I think, very important. And the Orcish Bowmasters can win you some games against ring decks as well, which is really important. Also, Orcish Bowmaster plus Burning Inquiry can be a very nice trick against some decks when they don't expect it. If they play creatures, you can kill a lot of creatures that way. And okay, so that is it for today. Hope you liked the gameplay, hope you liked the video. Friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe, comment down in the video. Tell me about your experience with this deck. How do you feel about Tinybones replacing Waste Not in the previous, what was previous known as like Waste Not RAKDOS, and now only plays a single Waste Not, or maybe like no Waste Not, but I still think like at least one could be decent. But there are other cards to play here which are also good. I mentioned Croxa earlier, but there are other options like Fourth Fear is definitely a decent option as well. And yeah, that's it. Really happy with the sideboard. Charmau obviously breaks the Giganta rule, but it's so good against Eldrazi decks. I think it's worth it. Giganta is so much better with Arena of Glory. When you can haste her, it's like really strong, and it can be really big deal in a lot of situations. Okay, so again, thank you for watching. That is all for today, and goodbye.